She thought she was marrying the love of her life. Until a Hell's Angel warned her she was being hunted. This wedding turned into a nightmare. Your life is in danger. Pretend that I am your dad. Don't look scared. Those terrifying words were whispered into Olivia Carter's ear right in the middle of her wedding ceremony. For a split second, she thought she had imagined it. This was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. The church was glowing with soft golden light. Rows of white roses lined the aisles. Guests smiled warmly, dabbing at their eyes as gentle music echoed through the high ceilings. Cameras clicked non-stop, capturing every perfect moment. Everything looked like a dream, but standing inches away from her was a nightmare. The man leaning close to her was not someone she recognized. He wasn't family. He wasn't a guest. He wasn't part of the wedding party at all. He was massive broad shoulders, thick arms, and a heavy presence that made the air feel tight. His beard was gray and rough, and his eyes were sharp like he'd seen too much in his lifetime. He wore a black leather vest with a bold red patch stretched across the back. The words burned in Olivia's mind. Hell's Angels. Her heart slammed into her chest so hard she thought she might faint. Her breath caught. Her hands began to tremble so badly she had to grab the side of her dress to steady them. Smile. The man whispered again, his voice low and urgent. And keep walking. From the outside, it looked beautiful. Guests saw a touching moment. A nervous bride being comforted by what looked like a strong, emotional father. Some people even smiled, thinking it was sweet that her dad was so close to her. But inside Olivia's mind, panic exploded. Her thoughts raced. Why is he here? How does he know me? Is this some kind of sick joke? Fear crawled up her spine like ice. She could feel the warmth of his hand lightly resting near her shoulder, guiding her forward. His touch wasn't rough. It was controlled, deliberate, protective, and that scared her even more. Because he wasn't acting like a threat, he was acting like a guardian, like someone who had done this before, like someone who knew something she didn't. And the most terrifying part, she had no idea whether to trust him or run. The biker's name was Marcus. Olivia learned it only because he whispered it carefully. As if even saying his name out loud might make things worse, he leaned closer, his rough beard nearly brushing her veil, and breathed. 3 men in gray suits. Back pew. Watching you. Olivia's body went instantly cold, like ice water had been poured through her veins. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure the entire church could hear it. Very slowly, without turning her head. She tilted her eyes toward the large decorative mirror on the side wall of the church, and that's when she saw them point. 3 men, sitting perfectly still, wearing matching gray suits, hands folded neatly, faces completely emptied, no smiles, no whispers, no emotion. Just staring directly at her. Not at the altar, not at the guests. Only at her. It felt wrong, it felt dangerous. Marcus had noticed them the moment he sat down. He wasn't there for Olivia, not originally. He had been invited by an old riding buddy, whose daughter was getting married that same day. He'd almost skipped the ceremony entirely, but years of living a hard life had trained his instincts, and something about those men had screamed trouble. Their eyes didn't move like normal people. They didn't blink normally. They didn't react to music or smiles. They were waiting. Marcus leaned in again, his voice barely louder than a breath. They're not here for the wedding, he said. They're here for you. Olivia's thoughts shattered. This had to be a mistake. She was a schoolteacher. She graded papers at night. She bought groceries at the same store every week. She'd never been in danger a day in her life. Why would anyone be watching her like that? Why would grown men look at her like prey? Her knees almost buckled, but Marcus moved closer. He straightened his posture and slowly lifted his arm, placing it gently around her shoulders in a way that looked natural, protective, fatherly. To everyone else, he whispered, I'm your biker dad. Play along. Olivia didn't hesitate. She didn't ask questions. She didn't fight. Her survival instinct finally kicked in. She slipped her hand around his arm. Her fingers trembled, but she held tight. She forced a smile onto her face, even though fear burned behind her eyes. Then, step by step, heart racing, chest tight, breath shaking, she began to walk down the aisle to everyone else. Everything looked perfect. A beautiful bride, a proud father. A magical moment. But inside Olivia, a storm was just beginning to. As they slowly walked down the aisle, Marcus leaned in again, his voice barely audible. You were adopted, he whispered softly. And you were born into something dangerous. Olivia felt the air leave her lungs. For a moment, the world tilted. Her steps almost faltered. Adopted? Her parents had mentioned it once when she was a child, but they never said much. Only that she was chosen, and special, and meant for something good. They never said anything about danger. They never said anything about criminals. Marcus stayed close to her, guiding her steps so no one noticed her sudden weakness. Your real father tried to escape a criminal group years ago, he continued. He paid with his life for it. Olivia's legs felt like they weren't hers anymore. Her heartbeat roared in her ears. Escape? Criminal group? Life? None of this made sense. Her father was supposed to be someone gentle, someone safe, someone who wanted her to live a normal life, not someone hunted, not someone killed. She swallowed hard. The men watching you? Marcus whispered, his voice turning colder. They're not here to congratulate you. They're here to take you. The words hit her like a slap. Take her, right here, in a church full of people. In her wedding dress, her eyes burned with tears, but she refused to let them fall. She wanted to cry. She wanted to scream. She wanted to turn around and run straight out of the nearest door, but Marcus tightened his arm gently around her shoulders. It wasn't rough. It wasn't controlling. The heavy wooden church doors were getting closer with every slow step. That it was grounding. Trust me, he said quietly. I've dealt with men like them before. Something in his voice changed. That it wasn't feared. It wasn't panicked. It was experience. But out of the corner of her eye, Olivia could see movement. The three men were rising from the back pew. Their steps were calm, too calm. The music kept playing like nothing was wrong. The guests kept smiling, wiping happy tears, whispering compliments. Laughter quietly floated through the AI. No one noticed. No one felt the danger creeping through the room. No one realized that while they celebrated love, a silent nightmare was unfolding in plain sight. And Olivia was standing right at the center of it. Marcus slowly and carefully changed direction. Instead of guiding Olivia toward the altar, instead of walking her toward the man she was about to marry, he turned her toward a narrow side hallway near the edge of the church. Everyone watching. Nothing seemed wrong. In fact, it looked beautiful. Guests leaned forward, smiling, thinking they were seeing a touching moment, a father struggling to let go of his daughter. Some guests even wiped away emotional tears, completely fooled by the scene. That no one suspected the truth. But it was never an emotional moment. It was a trap. From the back pew, one of the men in gray suits slowly stood up. Another stepped quietly into the aisle. Marcus noticed instantly. Their calm movements turned sharp, focused, hunting. Marcus leaned close to Olivia's ear and whispered urgently, "Act scared of me." Olivia's heart pounded, but she understood. She trusted him. She took a small step back and raised her voice just enough for nearby guests to hear. "Dad, please, you're scaring me." Her voice cracked on purpose. Her hands trembled. Some nearby guests gasped. Others looked uncomfortable, but the men in gray suits froze. They exchanged quick glances. In their minds, this wasn't a rescue anymore. This was a family problem. A controlling father. A scared daughter. And because of that mistake, they didn't move. And that was exactly what Marcus wanted. He reached the small side door quietly and pulled it open. Inside was a narrow storage hallway, dimly lit, dusty, silent. Before Olivia could speak, Marcus gently pushed her inside. "Run," he whispered. "Don't look back." For one terrifying second, she hesitated. Then she ran. Her wedding dress dragged across the floor behind her, catching on corners. The soft fabric brushed loudly against the walls. Her heels clicked hard against the tile, echoing down the empty hallway. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts. Behind her, she could hear shouting, angry voices, fast footsteps. But Marcus stayed at the doorway. He spread his broad arms across the entrance. Blocking the way completely, he stood like a wall. A shield. By the time the men in gray suits realized they had been fooled, by the time they rushed toward the wrong hallway, Olivia was already gone, vanishing into the shadows of the church's back corridors and straight toward an unknown fate. Within minutes, the quiet street outside the church exploded into chaos. Police cars came speeding in from every direction. Blue and red lights flashed across the church walls. Sirens cut through the air. Curious guests rushed toward the windows, confused, whispering, and frightened. Marcus had secretly sent a single text to an old friend on the police force the very moment his instincts told him something was wrong that he didn't hesitate. He didn't second-guess himself, and it saved Olivia's life. Officers stormed inside the church and surrounded the three men in gray suits before they even had time to escape. They were handcuffed on the spot, their calm expressions finally cracking into anger and fear. But what the police discovered next stunned everyone. Those men weren't just criminals, they were members of an international crime organization, one that operated across borders and had disappeared people without a trace for years. They had been tracking Olivia for months, watching her, learning her routine, waiting for the perfect moment, and her wedding day was supposed to be their final move. The reason shocked Olivia even more. She wasn't just an adopted child. She was the legal heir to a massive hidden fortune, money her real father had stolen back from the criminals before he died trying to escape them. That money had been hidden, protected, locked away, and she was the only person who could claim it. Outside the church, Olivia stood trembling in the cool air. Her wedding dress was stained. Her hair was messy. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Everything she thought she knew about her life had been ripped apart in a single afternoon. Marcus slowly walked up to her. He didn't look like a biker in that moment. He didn't look dangerous. He looked like a tired father. "I meant what I said," he told her quietly. "Today, I was your dad." Olivia couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She stepped forward and hugged him tightly, not out of fear, but out of gratitude. Her real groom, who had been safely kept away by police during the chaos, rushed forward and gently took her hand. He didn't ask questions. He just squeezed her fingers tightly, letting her know he wasn't going anywhere. That day, Olivia didn't just walk down the aisle. She uncovered the truth about her past. She survived a danger she never saw coming. And she learned something that changed her heart forever. Sometimes, the most dangerous-looking people in the room are the ones who care the most. All because one man leaned close and whispered, "You're in danger. Pretend I'm your dad." Before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next jaw-dropping story. Also, comment below what you would have done in Olivia's plan.